happen. Like, let's talk about the gaming industry. In order for the gaming industry to mature, I was talking to another friend of ours that we play with.
Right.
His name is John. So he has this thing where he wants to he has a game idea and he wants to develop the game. He wants to start up a small studio and he wants to get
Right.
into it. He's got a couple of friends. He's trying to figure out the way. And it's the same point that he brought up, which is you look at all these international developers, you see all these Indian names in there in terms of the powerhouses are in this country in terms of
Yeah.
development of these big titles and different aspects of these big titles. And so the question is, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we diving into making these titles and creating IP within the country? And I guess there's some creators that are doing that, and we've started seeing that slowly happening. I think Nikhil Malankar is one of those guys doing his thing with Mumbai Gullies, and even the team behind Raji.
Yeah.
So I think it's happening, but I think it's an economic. It's from a business point of view. If the framework and the support can be set up for these
Right.
businesses and companies to do their thing, I think that's really where the industry starts maturing. And once that happens, once the consumer starts in a tangible and viable and affordable way starts tasting what the Indian industry can offer their consumer, then they'll start maturing, according to me. And once that happens, I feel like all these problems that we're talking about, and I think it's what's happened in the West as well. I mean, the evolution of the industry, the evolution of how video games were looked at, and how video games are looked at now. Not just because of developers, but because of businesses that are built around, or ecosystems that are built around video games, not just the ones who are making video games. Even if you look at organizations like FaZe Clan, or if you look at organizations like Twitch, whatever it is, like these end up being support players in the industry that will then allow even Lobby Zero. Eventually, what we want to become is a platform and a support player that allows for a breeding ground and kind of a boosting platform for developers that want to make it in this country, eventually.
Right.
And so that's definitely a place that we want to be in. And I think if we have more organizations and even the players that are on there right now, whether it's Nodewin or Nazara, whoever it is that's in the situation right now, I think if they shift their mentality into not just doing whatever they're doing. I mean, we don't know what they're doing in the back end. Maybe they are planning on something really cool and they do quite a bit of stuff with small indie developers. I've seen some stuff. Like the Harvest Game Festival, I think was one of those things, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know how
the Raji and Nodwin.
I feel like the whole problem, like you said, revolves around some sort of an economical back-end issue, where the biggest studios that we have for gaming are usually like support studios for foreign companies like Rockstar Bangalore and Ubisoft Pune. And like these basically make like certain assets but don't ever develop their own game. And when it comes down to their game, it's we all saw what happened with the Prince of Persia remake.
It is a connected thing from my end based on the research I did, right? So the crux of the problem lies with the investor mindset or nature,
because making games is really expensive. These games take 5-6 years to make.
Exactly. 6. I mean, that's exactly where the Raji team is coming out, telling the investor crowd in India, right? They go down for nothing less than 6-month ROI. So you can almost say that they lack or they run a illiteracy when it comes to games or game industry, right?
Right.
I mean,
one is we don't have the money.
We could just consider this even with Rockstar. People like to say that GTA 5 earned the most and everything, but like how long did it take for like GTA 5 or RDR to make? So like holding on to a project for that long, optimizing it till it's good enough, not launching it half baked.
I wonder if
I don't think
is it
that's
because
something
of the
that's
comparison
possible.
happening. Is the comparison happening not within the industry, or again, I guess that's attached to the nascency of the industry in this market, right?
It's not just economical, but that's where I think XYD made his point, and I think it's right, because in India things become too complex, be it water, be it transport, be it games,
true.
because there's you're trying to put food in front of everyone at the same time, and try to break barrier in gaming.
Exactly.
That's why investors are, so ideally crowdsourcing is on spotlight now. Crowdsourcing is supposedly bringing out the gaming
with like Star Citizen, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
whenever that comes up.
For me, I think all of this kind of is what, at least, even though maybe it wasn't at the top of my mind, but even subconsciously thinking, is probably why I can understand, I mean, why businesses in this country might go for funding outside of this country. You know what I mean? Even for me, when I think of Lobby Zero, why I might think about going for funding outside of India for Lobby Zero is the thinking that maybe if there's an investor outside of this country who lives in a setting where he knows how this works and how his money or how the ROI system works in the gaming industry, the fact that it's going to take time, especially, I mean, obviously, even within the gaming industry, you have different parallels, right? You have your content-based stuff, you have your actual game development, all of which have extremely different parameters of measuring success or metrics or whatever, even time. But I think looking outside for an investor who has a little more context, but then the same person looks at India and understands that India is a very nascent stage market with very high growth potential. That's the sweet spot that I think people should be looking at. I mean, it's something that I guess I was subconsciously thinking about, because hopefully if I can find somebody who's outside of the country who looks at India as a great opportunity, but deploys enough capital or value into the business to take advantage of that opportunity, that's the right kind of mindset that we need, right? And I feel like hopefully as the market evolves, you find more investors like that in the country, because they see people outside of the country making that kind of money, right? And they're like, why am I not, and hopefully that also evolves into things like Dubai is doing now. Dubai has a lot of initiatives that are set up by the government just for people to come in and build businesses specifically within the gaming space. So now if investors here in this country see that investors in the US and, MENA, whatever, are making money out of funding developers in India, then a bunch of investors in India are going to be like, you know what, let's get together and let's create a fund. Let's do this. Let's, tie it up with the government. Hopefully things evolve that way. And I think
it is.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, already like Geo's trying to take the right steps, I guess.
Yeah.